Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Casual Watch Review channel. Well, this week we have a micro brand in for review, and it's from a new micro brand company called the Macedonian Watch Company. I've not been doing a lot of micro brands recently, but I was intrigued when Steve, who set up the brand, emailed me in. He's a Macedonian American, and he set the brand up as a celebration of Macedonia. And when he told me that Macedonia is known as a Switzerland of the Balkans, I was absolutely intrigued by it. This is a new micro brand watch in a slightly familiar case, but it's a great value bronze watch for less than $500. It's an automatic, but more importantly, after the review, let me know what you think in the comments section down below. So a big thanks to Steve over at the Macedonian Watch Company for sending this in for review. Let's flip the camera around and dive straight in. So here we have the MK2022, named after the year that they developed the watch. You're going to get a good view of my studio here because, as you can see, it's extremely reflective. We've got the reflective ceramic bezel on here as well, and then the slightly domed sapphire crystal, which makes the dial look awesome, but I don't think there's any AR coating on here, so you'll probably see my camera. You can certainly see my shadow box there. Apologies about that before we start, but we've got plenty of close-ups of this watch as well. This was sent in by Steve, who actually set the company up himself. He's from Macedonian American heritage. There's a lot of influence in here from his background and his love for Macedonia. If you're not familiar with Macedonia as a country, it's officially known as the Republic of North Macedonia, and it's a small landlocked country in the Balkans. Similar to Switzerland in that Switzerland is also landlocked, and this is where the comparison is made, that Macedonia is a Switzerland of the Balkans. It's not related to anything watch specific. Certainly this is the first Macedonian watch that I've ever reviewed on the channel, even heard about. And the country actually has a rich cultural heritage with influences going back to ancient civilizations such as the Greeks, Romans, and the Ottomans. The country is known for having quite a diverse ethnic makeup. Very interesting country with rich heritage. And this is the inspiration for this watch. Now, I suspect this watch, with the movement that it's using and the components, is not being assembled in Macedonia. I certainly couldn't find any reference to that. I'm guessing it's probably assembled in Hong Kong or somewhere like that. We're using in this the Miyota 8000 series, in fact the Miyota 8215. Usually I cringe a little bit at those Miyota 8000 series because often the lower end ones, they don't have hacking. Also, the rotors are extremely noisy, but this particular version does have hacking. So if I just unscrew the crown here and pull it out, you can see it does hack. And I haven't heard any noise from the rotor. A nice upgrade to this eventually would be one of the Miyota 9000 series, which I love. I actually like the 9000 series, I would say, more than the equivalent Seiko movements. It's certainly will serve you well. Steve said that they do calibrate these as well, so you're going to get around -10 to +20 seconds, which is actually better than what the Miyota specs are. Of course, Miyota is owned by its Citizens Movement Company. So overall, as we can see here, we've got the what looks like MKY, but that's actually Cyrillic for MWC, Macedonian Watch Company. Now, of course, they probably couldn't have put MWC on the dial here because there is another MWC watch company, which makes sort of, I would say, homages to CWC watches. Steve and team would have got in a bit of legal trouble if they had called it MWC, so they've used the Cyrillic text on here. Also, it nicely ties it in with Macedonia. The hands are quite distinctive, but the case does have a little similar look of a Black Bay, heritage Black Bay bronze. So we've got a similar case shape with that slab-sided case, although this is all brushed. And it is all bronze, this. In fact, it's using a type of bronze that has 8% tin in it, which means it is water and corrosion resistant, but this will patina over time. Although you shouldn't get any of that on your wrist, because on the case back here, which is using screws to make sure that the placement of the case is the right orientation for the design, the back of the case is convexed here, so it is separated from your wrist. It does mean that the case is slightly thicker. It's around a 15mm thickness. The overall case is 41mm with a 22mm lug width, so you've got plenty of choice on straps. This is quite nice, this Kevlar strap that it comes on, and they have a buckle, although the buckle isn't signed. It's just a standard bronze buckle on here as well, but at least they've tied it in and they've actually included a bronze buckle instead of a bronze colored buckle. It has a really nice bezel action, 120 click bezel, very smooth. There's not a lot of play in it. The lume shot on here is spectacular. Not only is the dial nicely lumed with BGW9 LUME, but the bezel is also lumed as well, so we get a really nice vivid lume shot. The watch is a dive watch, so it has a 200-meter water resistant. What I think is interesting is they've actually put bronze diver on the dial, the metal of the case on the dial, and I haven't seen that before, I don't think. We often see stainless steel written on the back when that used to be a thing, when it used to distinguish between a base metal case back in the day versus a stainless steel watch, which were considered much better at the time, and they were much better in comparison to the base metal cases. But I've not seen bronze written on the dial before. It has the date, nice bronze surround. The dial is similar to a Black Bay as well, or very nicely constructed. They've used applied indices on here, and the printing of the logo and the text is very sharp. This watch is $475, which I think for a bronze watch is a great deal. The crown is very nicely proportioned, screw down, very easy to operate, and a nice size as well. We didn't actually cover the lug to lug before. The lug to lug on here is just over 46. Here you can see it spanning my 7.2-inch wrist very nicely. I think as a first watch, he does have another watch coming out that's going to be more of a dress style, more of a tank style watch, but I think as a first watch, the fit and finish, he's done a very good job of this. I haven't been doing a lot of micro brands recently, as you know if you subscribe to the channel. The story when I was communicating with Steve, and also the tagline, Macedonia is Switzerland, the Balkans, I couldn't resist really. I was very glad, and I could see Steve's passion when he was emailing me back and forth. I could see his passion for what he was doing. I'm sure it would really appeal to people who perhaps have Macedonian heritage. And if this is his first watch, I'm interested to see what comes out next, because they've done a really good job of this one straight off the blocks. And I think $475 for this watch is a fairly decent price. But more importantly, guys, as always, let me know what you think in the comments section down below. If this is your first upload of mine that you're watching, I'd love it if you subscribed. I'll leave the link for this. This is the Macedonia Watch Company bronze watch. As always, appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time on Casual Watch Reviews.